At 6 o'clock. First thing that's always wonderful, especially you people up there on Instagram, is give me a wave and tell me where you're watching from. It's always nice to see. We have had people from all over the world. Let me put one of my banners up here on. And hello from Florida. Carrie is in Florida. Nice to see you here. Who else do we have? We are talking. Thank you. I know the lips are way too bright. I asked my 17-year-old, are my lips too bright? She said, yes. I said, should I go and blot my lips? She said, no, they match your shirt. To which I said, but this is an orange red and this is a blue red. She said, no one will be able to tell unless you tell them. And I just told you. So there you go. Like usual, hello from Australia. How are you? I love to know. See, I say it wrong. I say Australia. That's wrong. Australia. Australia. There we go. I said it. I haven't been doing mornings on 9 Network lately. I should send them a few ideas. So anyway, come on board. We're going to be talking about relationships. I'm going to be answering your relationship questions. The first thing that I want everyone to do is make sure you tell me where you're watching from. Hi, Jen from the Philippines. How are you? Oh, we have a few people from the Philippines. How interesting. Hi, Logan from Irvine. Nice to have you again. Thank you for the kind thing you're saying, Elwit. Hello, China Punchy from Illinois. Chicago. And let me get some comments going over here on StreamYard. It says, can't post some destinations. I don't like it when that happens. Anyway, so I should be streaming live now on StreamYard. Here on this camera is 2 Facebook pages, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, etc. Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh, and I'm here to talk about the science of love. And hi from Las Vegas, how are you? And Instagram is up here on this camera. If you have any questions about the science of love or your relationship, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I'm a little bit obsessed with the science of love. And for those of you who don't know that it's a science, there are biological, there are sociological, and there are psychological pieces to love. And part of winning the mating game is understanding ourselves. Hello from one and only from India. Hi from Mission Viejo. So we have some locals and then like extremely far away. Instagram's so interesting. And why are no comments posting from Facebook? I have it clicked on comments and it says some destinations won't get comments. And well, if you want me to see your comments and you're watching on any other platform besides Instagram, you could hop over to Instagram. Okay, what's the difference between ambivalent and anxious attachment? Excellent question. Ambivalent attachment style and an anxious attachment style. Well, they may each have features of each other. So I like to think of the ambivalent style as somebody who's come closer, go away. You know, the ones who sort of create drama and you're like, everything was going so well. Why did they cause all this problem? Why are they suddenly saying that they're worried that I'm fooling around on them or whatever. So hi from Long Island, how are you? And so the anxious one is vigilantly, December Brown, who just texted me, I am live right now. I don't know how to text her back. Okay, so the anxious person is the person who's vigilantly watching the clock. They are looking for signs of abandonment. They have huge abandonment issues. It may play out in extreme jealousy, mate guarding gone awry. Who have you been with? Where are you going? Who's there, right? And also, well, thank you. Why so much makeup? Because it's the end of a very long day, and I just want to have red lips to match the red shirt. You missed the whole story. You're late to the party. Okay, and so the anxious person is more worried about abandonment. The ambivalent person is vacillating between longing for love and then fear of being engulfed and smothered. Now, people can have features of all those things. We don't fall neatly into one little category, right? And also, depending on what partner we're with, it will enliven. Yes, answering one and only, can you be mixed between anxious and ambivalent? In fact, there's a style called the anxious ambivalent style, right? So they're both worried about losing their partner, but when their partner comes too close, they feel easily smothered, and then they also can push them away. So I do want to say, when I'm talking about attachment style, it's really important that you understand that attachment injuries can be healed, and that an attachment injury is a rupture in the relationship at a critical moment of need. Right? So what could happen is, you've had a really bad day in the office, and then you felt like just your ego defenses, as we call them, your confidence is not as high, right? And you come home and your partner says, before you get there, hey, I'm not going to make it tonight. I got to do this thing. And you feel suddenly hugely abandoned because you had this critical need for care and love at this time. And so you end up like going off on them and starting a big fight, or doing something really bad, like I'll just call another guy or girl or whatever. I'm just going to find another partner right now. Or you end up having affairs and do all kinds of stuff because you're trying to self-console because you've had an attachment injury at a critical moment of need. Now you have to remember, these are your infantile reflexes happening, right? And so your infantile reflexes go way back before you were verbal. Pre-verbal memories get stored in the brain, not as memories and narrative. They get stored as feelings in the bones, right? And you react to them. So the answer is, can attachment injuries be healed? Absolutely. There are three kinds of relationships that someone asked me, have I ever been injured in a relationship? Absolutely. We all come into this world with, there's probably no more vulnerable place than an intimate love relationship. And for it to be a good relationship, you have to be, I think, authentic and intimate. Somebody asked me, what's the difference between lusting and loving someone? Oh, well, that's easy. Lusting is a cocktail of neurohormones that help bring you together long enough to maybe reproduce, to at least mate together and have some sex. Love is a decision. Love is a commitment. I mean, I'll hear people in long-term relationships say, I love my husband, but I'm not in love with him anymore. To which I always say, good. That's mature companionate love. And you've made the decision to stay together and support each other in an exchange of care, right? Every relationship is just an exchange of care. I'm looking over for other questions. Oh, people are saying they're normally used to seeing the darkness behind me, but the time changed, right? The clock's changed. Someone said that dating apps, I won't use your language, but weren't so helpful for you. Well, here's the thing. Dating apps are no different than nightclubs or meeting somebody in a coffee shop. The pathways may be a little different because you're using technology, but the truth is, whatever your attachment style is going to come out in those dating apps. So there is no different. Dating apps don't hurt you. It's how you use them, right? So it's like motor vehicles don't kill people. Drivers kill people. The same way in dating apps. Dating apps aren't going to hurt you. It's how you use them. Somebody is asking me, is it common for unconscious stress to impact arousal? Oh, this is great. And are there ways to counteract this problem? Okay, so there's new research out of the Kinsey Institute, the Singles in America study that looked at and also new research on what's been going on during COVID. And what they found is that people's sexual arousal has been going down during COVID because of the stress. Even though people are quarantined with their lover, they're having far less sex. So this is particularly normal. Because if you think about it, stress is a survival mechanism, right? Stress is, stress is you fearing for your life in some way. And when you're worried about fearing for your life, you're not thinking about reproducing. And remember, all sex unconsciously is a bid to reproduce, right? So yes, stress can impact it. How do you change that? Let me put your question up, which I can do, I think. There we go. Are there ways to counteract this problem? Yes, reduce the stress. So the answer is reduce the stress, which means that you want to make sure that you do all the things that we can to reduce stress: mindfulness, meditation, exercise, eating well, sleep hygiene, digital hygiene, all the things that we know, not exposing yourself to too much news and bad news. You've got to work on reducing your stress first, and then your sex drive comes back. But stress will definitely suppress. And so somebody else is asking, and somebody is asking to join live, but I don't think I have a guest scheduled. Do I? I don't think I do. December, if I have a guest scheduled, please tell me. Hello from Manhattan Beach. How are you? Here's a great question. Any advice for dating burnout? So many dates gone wrong, I get pessimistic. So I want to gently say to you that there's a common denominator in every one of the dates that you've been on, and it's you. So let's talk about what you've been doing. And often it boils down to choice. Believe it or not, we unconsciously will go back to the scene of the crime. We unconsciously will go back to our early life trauma as we try to solve it in our adult romantic relationships. So sometimes we pick people who are our worst nightmares because there's a piece of us that thinks that's love or that's normal. So my answer is, look at the patterns in your dates. What kinds of people have you been choosing? Have you been going with, looks over personality? Have you been going with, career and income over kindness, right? And then ask yourself what happens early on. Do you move too fast? If you move too fast in a relationship, it's going to implode. It's just going to explode, right? And are some of your anxieties about attachment coming up? Definitely, I would look at the pattern because the pattern is a gift to you. It's a gift of information that you can get from yourself. Okay, and somebody else says, what other questions do we have? Any more questions up there? I'm looking at Instagram now too. How are you up there? Hello, Frank. How are you? Nice to see you. And if you have questions, you can post them. We've been talking about the science of love. We've been talking about attachment style and how we can heal attachment injuries. And, the best way to heal an attachment injury is to pick somebody who has a secure attachment style. And how do you tell if somebody has a secure attachment style? They don't play games. They're available. They are able to express their feelings. Honestly, they have a level of emotional intelligence where they can talk about their feelings. Also, just as important, they should be able to tolerate your feelings and be able to have that prickly conversation. I was actually watching a Brene Brown TED Talk yesterday, and I found it so interesting because she was talking about the psychology of shame. Oh, I know you didn't see a podcast from last Sunday because my show on Sunday, we did a special on vaccines instead. I know, I'm sorry. So a new one will come up this week. So what was I just saying about shame? So we all need to learn to tolerate shame. If you spend your life worrying about what other people think of you, then you're going to practice what Sigmund Freud would say, a bunch of defense mechanisms. You're going to be defended. You're going to use projection, where you point your fingers at somebody else, look how bad they are, so nobody knows your stuff. Or you use rationalization. You find a way to use your smart brain to complain about stuff and make a story, a good public story that makes sense, right? You might just avoid and get completely dismissive of feelings. And so, as someone's saying there, the mind, I don't know if you mean mind, somebody you date, avoids those kinds of conversations. And so the question is, look, two people who are completely emotionally avoidant can certainly have a relationship. They can live like polite roommates in their house, and nobody has to worry about any threat of intimacy. But usually one partner wants more intimacy than another if there is an avoidant person and they're not getting enough back. And also, what happens if children come in? And children need emotional intimacy. Children need their feelings to be acknowledged and explained to them so that they can learn the language of feelings. So when when I had a private practice, I would see people who would say, my family is perfect. Always when I hear that my family is perfect or my parents are perfect, I'm always like, red flag there. And what I would notice is that they would talk about surfacey stuff, their jobs or the way they behaved or the education, but they never talked about how their parents consoled them when they were injured. They never talked about how their parents educated them on what their cries meant or what their feelings were. And I'm really surprised at how many people don't have a basic language for emotions. for feelings, right? I don't know how to get off putting, I'm sorry, I have your comments, and I don't know how to get rid of the comments if I wanted to. That's interesting. I know I can get rid of my banner, put that back, comments. That's so weird. Maybe I just go there and the StreamYard one goes up. That doesn't help. Maybe I go to the bottom. Nope. I don't know why it is. Okay. Have I changed location? Steve asks. No, I have not, but the time changed, the time zone changed. So we have more light than we normally do. Someone asked me, did I do an attachment test with my boyfriend? Absolutely. For so much fun. Wait, I'm going to put another question up. I'll put Akshay's question up, even though I know him up here as Sharms. So, just for fun, because I'm a nerd and he's a nerd, we did all kinds of compatibility tests. We did the Myers-Briggs test, which we found out that we're super compatible. We did the attachment test and found out that we are both have a secure attachment style. Where can you find an attachment test? If you Google the words Chris Fraley, Chris, C-H-R-I-S, Fraley, F-R-A-L-E-Y. He's one of the world's most renowned researchers in attachment, and he collects data online. So if you Google the words Chris Fraley attachment test, it will come up. So that's where you can learn about that. Okay, thank you, Greenleaf, for your kind compliment. And Akshay, what's one piece of advice you can give to a young man who are anxious, ambivalent, looking to date and have a meaningful relationship? Slow down. Stay in the present. Stop worrying about the future. Don't plan that every person is going to be your girlfriend or your wife, right? But just learn to contain yourself. Yes, and there is a great book called Attached that has one of the, it has a pretty good test in it, but Chris Fraley's is a much more in-depth one. I didn't look at Old Salt Trading, asked me, did I find out compatibility of my biorhythms? I don't know about those. You'll have to send me a link. Maybe that's a test we should take. Okay. I'm going to go cook dinner soon. Does anybody have any last questions before we move along? Is there a correlation between physical attraction and narcissism? Only if you're attracted to narcissists. So if you had a narcissistic parent, you're going to be attracted to narcissistic people. I think what your question is, are narcissists most concerned about their physical self? Yes, because the underbelly of narcissism is shame and deep self-loathing. So they really worry about what people think about them. And so as a result, they're going to try to look perfect. So yeah, people who are really afraid to, look casual or whatever, could be, but could be narcissistic. Narcissism, by the way, is where you develop an external person. By the way, you like my Band-Aid? It's got a rainbow on it. I caught myself cooking the other day. It's cute. A cloud with a rainbow. Anyway, what was I just saying about narcissism? So narcissism is like a performance personality that we create on the outside. Now, we all need to have a little bit of narcissism. Otherwise, we'd never get out of bed in the morning. We'd be curled up in a fetal position saying, I can't go out there, I'm afraid. So we need to have what we call some level of primary narcissism, ego strength to just get us out there in the world. But people who have a narcissistic personality disorder have an unending need for admiration and people to follow them because they don't believe it. And so they create this very charismatic, engaging external personality, and they take it out into their dating world, and then they gaslight people, often their partners. That's one common thing that narcissists do with their partners. Gaslighting means when you make the other person feel like they're crazy. And that can happen really easy if the partner they pick, and they have quite a sixth sense for picking this person, is very empathetic. So narcissists love empathetic boyfriends and girlfriends because they can easily trick them into making them think that they're the crazy one, right? So yeah. If your parents gaslight, will you look for gaslighters? Yeah. Oh, Susan, I'll put this up because I think it's funny. What's my boyfriend's zodiac sign? Did I check that compatibility? No, I did not. Look, there's no scientific research to show that anything to do with astrology is real. They've done so many studies with people who deeply believed in astrology and realized they believed they knew their sign and their personality. And they basically shuffled the deck and handed them a horoscope. And every time they go, oh, that's me. That's exactly me. And it was just a shuffled deck. So the truth is, the way most horoscopes are worded is they are worded in a very vague way so that you will project onto them what you're feeling and what you're thinking. So, and okay, so this is a crazy question, James. How can a relationship be returned to a positive place after a major conflict? And a funny little question, are you ticklish? Every human's ticklish somewhere, aren't they? I guess the question would be where? And I won't disclose that. How do you return to a positive place? Because that's where intimacy is built, right? Let me explain that. So the road to intimacy is paved with rupture, followed by repair. It is during the repair process where the words, I'm sorry, are spoken, where the words, I felt, are spoken, where the other person mirrors back to that person what they think they hear. You know, we call that emotional mirroring. Somebody will say something and say, I'm hearing that you're feeling this. And they'll go, yeah. And so you've got to go through it. You got to walk through those prickly conversations, and you've got to use the word I feel. You have to keep away the words of you did this, you made this, you're being that. You've got to use the words I feel, because nobody can argue with your feelings. They're yours and you own them, right? But it is during that repair process where intimacy is really, really built. Somebody said, my husband and I are complete opposite on the Myers-Briggs. Yeah, but there's a romantic compatibility. You're not supposed to be the same type for Myers-Briggs. So you might want to look it up. Online, there's a romantic compatibility chart. Introverts and extroverts often go together, and thinkers and feelers often. So look it up. Anything else we got? If I could, this is an excellent question. Akshay, I like it. He always gives me great questions. He says, if you could make your own dating app, what would it be? Okay, engineers, you listening? It would have biology, psychology, and sociology in it. And it would be called The One. Now, here's the problem. Every dating app out there right now only works with sociology, right? Where you live, what your politics are, how you look, how much money you make, blah, blah, blah. It's just like on paper what somebody looks like. That's the sociology. So a dating app in my world, in my mind, if I could design the perfect dating app, it would have attachment tests. It would have Myers-Briggs tests all built into it. It would take a really long time to get your profile up. It would also have the sociology piece, and it would have biological. My friends at instantchemistry.com, you should check them out, actually have a DNA test that can tell long-term compatibility, long-term romantic compatibility. In fact, I should have Dr. Sarah on my show sometime. She's a geneticist who can explain the genes and what genes match. All right. With that said, I am going to cook dinner. Tonight it's going to be fried chicken, sorry. It's going to be some roasted Brussels sprouts, a salad with arugula, pear, and Parmesan. Yes, that's my hobby too, is cooking. And I think that's enough. Okay, I love you all. We will see you on the radio, KFI AM 640, every Sunday from 4 to 6, or you can listen anytime on the iHeart Radio app. As well, check out my podcast, Mating Matters. Get that wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for being here. Bye.